Okay, so I did it again. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. I was really good this month, I swear to God. I had bought 4 books, and I was going to combine them with 3 that I hadn't finished from last month, and that would give me 7 in total, and I had this whole, like, Halloween theme planned out, where I had, like, a ghost book, I had a zombie book, I had a vampire book, I had a demon book, I had the whole range, and I filmed it and everything. And then I went on YouTube and started watching everybody else's, and I'm like, oh, I want that book, oh, I want that book, that sounds fantastic. So my 4 turned into 18. Long story short. I read a couple of them, so I'll put them at the beginning. That way I can give you like a 30-second spiely type review to let you know if they're worth picking up. I bought more adult fiction books this month. The majority still are YA, but there are quite a few adult fiction. A lot of the books that I bought are sequels in a series, so I can't tell you what they're about because I don't know, because I won't read them because it'll spoil what the last book was about. In those cases, I'll just give you a review of the first book in the series, just to let you know what it's about, what type of genre it is, whatnot. So the first book I read, of the ones I bought this month, was Kendare Blake's Anna Dressed in Blood, and this is the first in a new series. It's about a ghost hunter named Cass, and he moves to Thunder Bay to kill Anna, Anna Dressed in Blood as they call her, and she's haunting her old house, killing people. I give this book 5 out of 5 stars. It was pretty fantastic. The thing I liked the best about it was that Kendare Blake doesn't take the normal route that you'd normally take when dealing with a ghost story. She sort of gives Anna a voice, and you sympathize with the ghost. The ghost is in fact good, and also that she just went for it and went all over with the gore and just started ripping people apart, which I definitely appreciate because a lot of YA authors will steer clear of violence or swearing or sex even. This book has 2 main story arcs. The first is Cass moving to Thunder Bay to kill Anna and all the problems that he encounters with her specifically, and that finishes about halfway through, and then another problem is introduced, and the team, which there's now a team, I won't tell you who it consists of, but the team has to take that on. You could almost split this book up into 2, but I like that it's not split up into 2. I think there's enough connections that you can still keep it as one book. And it's fantastic. All moody and crazy with all that power. I gotta say, I did not like the ending of this book, but that's based on preference. But I know that there is a second book in this series, and it's called the Anna series, I believe. So I know that what happened in the end isn't final. So if you read this, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't, pick it up. The next book that I have read already is Hollow Pike by James Dawson. This book got about a 4 out of 5. It was good. I read this book because of the supernatural fact. It has witches in it, but I found that the witch sort of supernatural was more of an underlining tone. You don't actually, like, it's not up front and present. You don't really see witches doing magic. It was still a really good book. It's set in Great Britain in some place. Our main character Liz moves from Wales and goes and lives with her sister in Pike Hollow. And there's this girl at school who's the popular it girl, and she makes friends with her, and then the it girl turns on her, and the first sort of quarter of the book is just filled with drama that I didn't really care for, and then finally the it girl gets murdered, which I liked very much. The romance in this book, because there is romance, there's romance in the last book, but I'm not going to tell you who's in between because I don't want to spoil anything. But the romance in this one isn't very important, and it's very realistic. I tend to steer towards more dramatized romance, and I think it was a really gorgeous book. I mean, it even has like the flaps, so you think it's a hardback, but it's a paperback, and it's just a really nice book. The next ones I'm going to show you, these books pissed me off. I was so angry when I got them in the mail. But they're Anna Godbersen's Luxe series, and the first one is Luxe. Then it's Rumors and Envy. And the thing that I really hated about these books is that they had because they were in the box, and then they had a sticker over top, and when I took the sticker off, it ripped off like the spine on Rumors, and so I had to put the sticker back on so you could actually read what it says. Okay, so this is about a couple of girls who are sisters, I believe. Yeah. Elizabeth and Diana Holland, and it is the 18th century set in Manhattan. It's just about like social standing and etiquette and drama and type of like, what is the word, like soap opera-y type stuff, like a historical soap opera in book form. So I probably won't be reading these very fast. They're probably going to be towards the bottom of my TBR pile, but I definitely will get to them eventually. They were really cheap, so I just picked them up. Okay, the next book I picked up is another historical. This is historical fantasy, and it's The Gathering Storm by Robin Bridges. This is set in 18th century, like the turn of the century, Russia, and it is about Katerina Alexandrovna, and she is a necromancer, but she ends up using her powers to save a prince. I believe a prince, right? If I got this wrong, I'm gonna be pissed. Anyway, she uses her powers to save somebody who she's not supposed to. She's supposed to keep him under wraps. And people start finding out about her, and she ends up getting drafted into the prince's sort of royal guard to protect Russia and parts of Europe, I guess, from this dark enemy. And it just sounds really good. I love sort of anything sort of to do with sort of Russian history or anything like that. I love the culture, I love the architecture, the fashion. I'll probably pick this one up after I finish Shadow and Bone and Siege and Storm, just to follow along with the sort of Russian historical trend. Okay, the next one I picked up is a sequel, and it's Christian Gier's Saphire Blue, and it is the sequel to Ruby Red. Yeah, it's about a girl named Gwen whose family has a time-traveling gene, and she's pretty sure it's not her. Her family thinks it's not her, so they haven't been training her. They're pretty sure it is her cousin who has gotten it. But on the day where her cousin's supposed to time travel, she does instead. And so she's sort of on her own. Her family didn't really tell her what she's supposed to do or anything like that. The third book in this series is already out. It's called Emerald Green. I still think you can get it in this sort of cover, but I know that they have already started publishing the new cover, which is just like girls in dresses, sort of standard YA covers. So I'm hoping to pick that one up before they all sell out and I can't get that cover anymore. So the next book I bought is Leigh Bardugo. I'm sorry. It's Siege and Storm, which is the sequel of Shadow and Bone, which I am currently going through. I've been going through this one for a while already. It's not that it's not good, it's just that I keep getting distracted by other books. It's about a girl named Alana Starkov, and she has a secret power that she's put in danger, and it sort of comes forth, and it's the power of light in all that it entails. I haven't figured out all of it entails, and you find out pretty early on that it's light, so I don't think I'm spoiling anything. If I do, I'm sorry. I know the synopsis doesn't say what it is, but it's the power of light. And it comes in very handy when fighting the bad guys, these dark sort of demon type creatures. I don't know what Siege and Storm is about since I haven't finished Shadow and Bone, but I will get through them eventually. I will, I promise. I was really angry when I got these in the mail too. Not like angry like I didn't want them, but I had bought Shadow and Bone in paperback, and I thought I bought Siege and Storm in paperback, but I guess they bought it in hardcover. So now on my shelf, they won't match, so I have to buy the rest of them in hardback. Because it's fine if it's like, well, it's not really fine, I don't really like it, but if it's paperback and then hardback. If the series gets big enough, I'll probably just end up replacing this one with the hardback version, but otherwise it'll be like that. the next book I bought is the third in a series. I have the first, I don't have the second. I thought they were good books, but I didn't really like them all too much, but it was on sale, so I was like, okay, well, why not? And it is Maggie Stiefvater's Forever, and this is the series that is printed in color. Oh, I forgot to say, the Anna dressed in blood, printed in red. Bloody! Sorry. But this one's printed in red. This is the third, and the first book in this series is Shiver. Is about a girl named, what's her name? I don't remember. I remember the guy's name is Sam. Grace, and she falls in love with a guy, and he's a werewolf, and his name is Sam. And I think there's a conditional thing where they spend a year as a wolf and a year as a person, which is really shitty when you think about it. Because I mean, you meet this guy, and you have him for however long he has to be a human left. And then, like, as soon as you're getting into, like, the really good parts, he turns into a wolf. But I remember the book being really good. I don't really remember exactly what it was about, like, the troubles that they faced. I know there was some question about why Grace was human, because she was bit by a wolf when she was little. I think they tell you that really, like, right in the beginning. I'll probably have to reread this one and then get the second book, and then I'll get to the third book. So probably not right away, but definitely eventually. Definitely eventually. That's stupid. You're not in the hall. You get to go on the floor. I am so excited for. I want to read it so bad, and it is Riordan's The Mark of Athena, and this is the third book in the Heroes of Olympus. You saw them back there, didn't you? I know you did. The first two books in the series are The Lost Hero and The Son of Neptune. So I tried looking up, like, a good synopsis for you guys for these ones if you've never read Percy Jackson or whatever, or you just haven't heard about them, but I literally could not find squat. I know that they introduced 3 new characters: Jason, Leo, and Piper. Jason and Piper are dating. Jason has, like, amnesia, and he can't remember anything before a bus trip to some wildlife preserve or some sort of school field trip. And I don't know what gods they're related to, but they end up going to Camp Half-Blood, and they run into some old favorites, Percy and Annabeth. I know them at least. I don't know if Grover comes back in these ones. These ones are probably going to be the first books I read in November. I'm really excited to read them. I want to so bad. Book 4 is already out, and that is A House of Hades. So the last YA book I have is Laini Taylor's Daughter of Smoke and Bone. It's about a girl whose name is Karu. I took Japanese, I should be able to pronounce this. Karu. And she has blue hair, she draws monsters, she speaks a bunch of different languages, not all of them human, and she has no idea what her past is. She doesn't know where she came from, and it's basically her trying to figure that out. So that's it for the YA. But I do have 1, 2, 3, 4. My stack just fell over. I do have five adult fiction books that I want to tell you that I bought. The first one I am currently reading, and it is Stephen King's The Shining. This is about Jake Torrance. Yeah, Torrance. He and his family go to the Overlook Hotel over winter, because it's got, like, seasons, so it's in operation from, like, April to September, November type stuff. And then he was hired to keep it warm so that, like, pipes don't freeze and wires don't break and type stuff. And I also picked up the sequel to this book. I picked it up for the sequel because I really want to read the sequel, because I bought the sequel because it had an amazing cover. But it's Stephen King's Dr. Sleep. I don't know what it's about because I didn't read the synopsis because I didn't want to ruin anything about The Shining, but one thing that I thought was really cool is that it says red rum. I think that's depending on what you want. Red rum here, and then it says it again on the back, red rum. So I'm interested in getting through these. These are the next books that I'm reading. I'll read this one and then I'll read Dr. Sleep right after it. A lot of you commented on my like 30 video haul September thing. Like I can't talk properly. But you all said that like Anne Rice is great. I got a lot of stuff on GoodReads saying, oh, you should read Vampire Chronicles. So I picked up Anne Rice's interview with the vampire. I would read the synopsis to this, but all it has is a creepy picture of a lady holding a doll, which I didn't really like because I find like children and dolls and childish type things kind of scary. That's like my one mortal foe is Robert Galbraith's The Cuckoo's Calling. I winked because I am in on the secret to this book. I'm pretty sure most people know. But in case you don't, I didn't want to spoil it. This is a newest edition, so I'm pretty sure all of them now have it, but it gives it away at the end of the synopsis. So if you just want to go into this book without any prejudice or anything like that, maybe skip the synopsis, just listen to what I have to say about it if you haven't already heard, and then you'll be pleasantly surprised. This is a murder mystery novel about a guy named Strike, and he is an ex-military veteran turned private detective, and he takes on a case about this girl who committed suicide. She was a runway model, and her brother doesn't think it was a suicide. Apparently she jumped from a building and killed herself, but he thinks that she was murdered. Last book, this one, I was going to read it when I only had 7 books to read this month, but now that I have all these and all the ones from last month that I didn't read, and all the ones that are on my shelves that I didn't read, I probably won't get to it, but it's Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. This is pretty common knowledge, but in case you don't know, it's about a man named Victor Frankenstein, and he takes a bunch of dead body parts and combines them into a monster and brings it to life. And then the townspeople sort of rally because they don't want a monster in their town type stuff. Probably actually won't read this for like a long time. Like I might get to it next Halloween. It's sad, but that's the way things happen. I still have 2 books coming in the mail though. The first is Vicious by Victoria Schwab. The second book I'm still waiting on is A House in the Sky. Hopefully I will be talking to you guys again soon, and thanks for watching. Bye.